welcome everybody to a very special episode of Write Better Together. I'm John Myers. Hey, look everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, John Myers.
Hi. Why is this episode so special?
Because we went to the Southern Oasis Film Festival.
We did.
We got out of our bubbles and we got to interview Bob Sáenz.
World famous, national treasure, celebrity screenwriter.
He's going to hate that you said that.
That's why I'm saying it. Bob Sáenz. For those of you that don't know Bob, he's written 18 produced screenplays, extracurricular activities, Church People. There's one I'm forgetting right now. And then 17 others that have been, Farmer and the Belle was released in theaters as well. And so 17 others that have been on Hallmark or Great American Family. And he's a joy to interview, as you will see in a few minutes.
Oh, yeah. I could have talked to him for hours. In fact, I ran into him at breakfast and got to talk to him and just learn about his life. And he's awesome. I really, really appreciate learning from his experience, and then his passion for wanting to teach others is just great. I love it.
And he's super easy to talk to, and he doesn't talk at you. He includes you in the conversation. He also has a wonderful wife named Margie, so shout out to Margie, and she keeps him in line. So maybe someday you'll get to meet Margie at a future event.
Yeah.
So would you like to reflect upon the festival in general?
Oh, I mean, I felt so privileged just to be invited as a non-screenwriter. But obviously John Myers is a screenwriter, and we did a talk on maybe this is something we'll share in the future, turning your story into a narrative fiction podcast. That went great. Our interview went great. We got to meet a lot of really cool people. I got to watch some college films. Got to hang out in Gatlinburg with my husband, so definitely hope to go again.
So the best part, and you'll hear Bob talk about it in the interview, the best part about getting out of your bubble and going to a festival or a conference is the people that you meet.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing an article for the September issue of WriterCon magazine, and it's called Demystifying Networking, because introverts are often afraid of that word, networking. Extroverts are sometimes afraid of that word, networking, and it's just talking to people, right? And so everyone talks to people, and it's usually, like Emily said at breakfast, it's just talking one-on-one. And so the idea of going to a festival is so intimidating because there's going to be all of these filmmakers there, but you don't talk to all 100 of them at once.
Right.
It's one-on-one in the hallway. And the other thing I wanted to point out was that introverts are oftentimes, they're the best listeners, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're talking to someone who's super gregarious and outgoing, it's the perfect opportunity because they like a good audience. They like good listeners. So we're encouraging you all to get out of your bubble.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Bob is talking about us for today in our interview. He's specifically talking about networking. He talks about imposter syndrome in a really great way that I think will encourage a lot of people. So it's a great interview.
And the other thing, when you see the interview, there's no two interviews alike, even if you're on the same topic. And that's because of the dynamic of getting out of your bubble. And so whatever the number of people in that room who were there, they influenced everyone's answers. And then, like Emily said, we got to know some of them out in the hallway afterwards. Some of them will be contributing to future episodes here. And none of that would have happened if we stayed in the picture of my parents' basement that I showed you a couple episodes ago. And it's literally, it's just talking to people and being nice to people.
Yeah.
We're going to now, I had to remember the sequence of this. Okay. We're going to show one, of your responses to previous call to actions that we've issued to you all in previous episodes. And it's never too late to answer one of them if you're new to us.
Yeah.
And this is you're watching this for the first time, and 2 years from when we're recording, that's fine. This is for you. It's not for us. And so we want your input. And now here is Adrian Sanders talking about a previous prompt. We had asked previously, if money were no object and if training were no object, what would you do? What's your wildest dream?
Hi, my name is Adrian Sanders. I'm author of This Side of the Dirt and Lynchian. If money and training were no object, I would love to open a studio, a collaborative space where writers can come, there would be workshops, artists could rent out their own space, there would be film screenings. I would just love to have a dedicated space where people can come and just create and be around other creatives and share their work.
So that was fantastic, Adrian. If you're watching, I have those same 2 books right here from the bookshelf behind me. Adrian got to present. So the first or second one that she held up was poems by Adrian Sand, but they're all Lynchian poems. They're all poems that are influenced by the films of David Lynch. And so she went to Comic-Con and she got to meet 2 of the actresses from Twin Peaks, and she presented them with poems. If you go to her Facebook page, you can see the genuine reaction that she got from those actresses. And it was amazing, and it kind of made me tear up a little bit because they were like, really? This is for me? And just so you know, these are real. Look, I actually have the autograph from Adrian right there.
Aw. Yeah, I also love that idea of a collaborative studio where people can come in and create. I think that creators, as introverted as we can be, do need each other, and sometimes we need to get out of the house like we've been talking about. And so I hope you do that because that sounds amazing.
I agree. Do you want to tell them where else they might be able to get these books?
Yes. So we have an announcement. We now have a bookshop page. So if you go to writebettertogether.com/bookshop, you can see there will be a link to our bookshop. And essentially what that is we put up any book that we've talked about in this podcast. Anything that John Myers pulled from his bookshelf that surprised us all, our listeners' books. So we have those. And if you purchase there, it supports us. It supports our author friends, and it supports independent bookstores. So it's kind of a win-win-win.
Win-win-win. And then are both of Bob's books in there? So both of them are?
Yes. So you're going to hear Bob Sáenz talk a little bit about his books in our interview, and both of those books are also there.
But before we get to that interview, Emily has a surprise coming to her on this very special episode. It's actually a very special day too. So you're watching this, not the day we're recording it, but you're actually watching this. This episode is being released on April 2nd. It has nothing to do with April Fool's Day or anything. This is a real thing. Emily's favorite holiday is Easter, but 2 days after Easter every year is Dingus Tuesday. Do you know what Dingus Tuesday is, Emily?
No.
Yes, it's a surprise episode of Hey Emily Brooks, and I've stumped her because now she's been winning 2-0. I don't want it to ever be Hey Emily Brooks because it's just kind of, I don't know. It seems rude when I stump her, but today's a special day, and so I had to. So Dingus is Polish for worthy, and so a lot of people know what Dingus Day is, which is the Monday after Easter, and but hardly anyone knows that there's a second Dingus Day after Dingus Monday, and it's Dingus Tuesday. So Dingus Day is it's big in the Polish community, like in Hamtramck and Detroit and Chicago and South Bend. Back in the old days, we don't talk about politics on this show, but politics season, now it's forever. And but it used to go from Labor Day until November. Well, John F. Kennedy, when he was running for president, he announced and was in the Dingus Day Parade in South Bend, Indiana, this early in the year. And so he was like a trendsetter, a groundbreaker to actually launch his campaign so early in the year. That also brings up well, first let me tell you the traditions.
I was going to say, what is it?
So there's old traditions. There's current culture traditions, and now there's the sanitized version. So the original tradition was, and apparently this didn't happen, or I'm sure you would have mentioned already, on Dingus Monday, your husband wakes you up in the morning by dousing you with a bucket of cold water. Did John do that to you yesterday?
No.
Okay. Well, so we're actually filming this before Dingus Monday, even though you're watching this on Dingus Tuesday. So now's your chance to tell him about this, and that's how he can wake you up.
I'm going to make sure he never hears this episode.
And then Tuesday, today that you're watching this, is you get retribution, you get revenge. And some people actually call it Revenge Day. And whatever his favorite dish is, like where you serve him dinner on his favorite dish or whatever, he gets to wake you up you get to wake him up by breaking that dish over his head on Dingus Tuesday. So he wakes you up with water. You wake him up by breaking his favorite dish over his head. Nowadays, we don't do such violent acts, of course. And so the girls chase the guys around with squirt guns of water or spray bottles of water. They'll put perfume on it so they'll know they're tagged. And so they spray each other with perfume. And then they just, together as a man and wife or as a couple, they break dishes like out on the sidewalk or out on the front porch together. And
Wow.
so it's not so violent. There's one other tradition. Back in the day, you would spank the man would spank the woman with a pussy willow. And because pussy willows are coming out this time of year, right? And so now's when they come out. Nowadays we can't do that, so you kind of like wave the pussy willow like at their legs. You might smack them in the ankles a little bit. And the pussy willow obviously represents fertility, and this whole the time of year that Emily loves the most, where there's rebirth and springtime. It's all about that. Like many holidays, now I'm blanking on the king's name, but like many holidays, they start as a pagan holiday, like with a Christmas tree, and then Christians take on some of the things. So the first Catholic Polish king actually chose this day to be christened, and they had the water, and he got baptized, right? And so that symbolized the water from Dingus Day, and there were pussy willows involved in that ceremony, and that was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So there you go, you learned something today.
I mean, I'm shocked because so you said, don't do a Hey John Myers this time. And I was like, oh, okay. It's because we had an interview and it's fine.
And now I just told a big, long story.
I'm stumped.
But that's okay. And this will not, like, it was a very special episode because we have Bob's interview.
Yeah.
And so this is a very special episode. So I got to turn the tables on Emily. And it's a special day. One last thing, and then you can watch the interview with Bob, and this will tie into screenwriting. There's a flaw in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What do you think that is? This still counts as the same stumping.
Oh, you're going to stump me twice?
No, it counts. There's a clue. They're related.
Did somebody call somebody a dingus?
No. I mean, they might. I don't remember that. But so, do you remember in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when it's Shake It Up Baby and they're dancing in the parade?
Yeah.
And the whole premise of Ferris Bueller's Day Off is that he's skipping school, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Chicago in the 80s, they didn't have school on Dingus Day. And so he's in the Dingus Day parade skipping school. And there is no school that day. And so...
Wait.
And
That's the Dingus Day Parade?
correct. If you look at that parade, it's accordion people, it's Polish red and white flags.
Oh my gosh.
He's dancing with the accordion women. That whole thing is.
Wow.
I've never seen anyone argue this online, but it's true. Some people will say that it's the Cubs opening day parade. But he goes to the Cubs game, and you can't go to the Cubs game on the same date of the opening day parade. I mean, I guess you could afterwards, and but it's too late in the year for that, and so Easter always moves throughout the year, and so Dingus Day moves with Easter, and so he's skipping school on a day there is no school, which makes no sense. So there you go. There's a screenwriting tie-in to the interview.
Well, yeah. On that note. Here's our interview with Bob.
There you go. Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm John Myers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hey, John Myers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Bob Sáenz. I said it wrong, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but that's okay. Everybody says
Sáenz.
Hey, Bob Sáenz.
I practiced that.
Yeah, it's Cuban. Nobody gets it right.
Well, welcome. We're so honored to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
So let me give Bob's bio that I emailed to you earlier.
That's on my phone that we're recording
on your phone
with.
over there. So Bob has produced 20 screenplays, or not, he hasn't produced them, but he's written 20 produced screenplays, extracurricular activities, Church People, Farmer in the Bell, which we are live at the Southern Oasis Family.
Oh, yeah.
The Southern Oasis Film Festival. And we just watched Farmer in the Bell, Saving Santa Land. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, everybody, if you want to just show your presence here, that we're actually live. It's real. We're not lying to the world. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he has 2 books. One is That's Not the Way It Works. Did I say it right?
Yes.
And it is, if you're a screenwriter, it has the #1 query letter. So there was a guy here yesterday, not that we have time for all these John Myers stories, but he's a brand new screenwriter, and anybody that's a screenwriter in the room knows this is impossible. He used Bob's query letter out of Bob's book, and he got 9 yes, send me your scripts out of 12 query letters. Cold calls,
That's
brand
really
new guy that no one's ever heard of. 9 out of 12.
I get emails and, excuse me, thank you. I get emails and notes through Twitter and all kinds of things from people who have used my query letter in the book and said, I've been querying for years, and all of a sudden, this really worked. So I'm really happy. The secret to query letters, if any of you guys know what they are for films, is they need to be read within 25 seconds. You can't take any more than 25 seconds to read them, because producers and producers' assistants can't pay attention any longer than that, or won't pay attention any longer than that. They don't want to read a big long thing about how much your mom likes your script.
Bob also has a novel that is out now,
Yes.
and tell us about it, Bob.
Yes.
It's a YA novel, which one of the reviews says it's YA for adults. So, excuse me, it's YA for adults, and it's called Jessica's Vampire Diary. And like the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, it's an actual diary of an adventure of a young lady who wants to keep her family together, and an evil that tries to keep them apart.
Based on a true story.
No, it's not based on a true story, but it is based on one of my old screenplays, and it is the publisher in New York, the editor, the publisher in New York, called me and said, I wanted to tell you that I laughed out loud at least a dozen times reading your book. So it made me feel good.
So the real reason Bob is here is to play mystery bag later, but the real reason
Rattlesnake.
Nope. The real reason is we wanted him to talk about why we're all here, all of you in this room, why we're all here. Demystifying networking. That's the topic of this episode.
Yeah.
There are 3 ways to get your scripts to people. One is the query letter, which we just talked about. One is the contests that count, like the nickel and Austin and Screencraft and Script Pipeline and maybe The Page. And the other way is through networking. And networking is done by meeting people and getting to know them as people, building relationships with people. It isn't finding somebody in the industry, looking at them and thinking, what can this person do for me? That never works. So what it is meeting people and getting to know them as the human beings they are. And if some point you can help each other, that's spectacular. But building a network of people that you can just know and get along with and grow with is a real important thing. And when you network with people at something like this, you follow up with people on something like this. I just went to a huge conference that had, 6,000 or 8,000 people. And I came home with business cards about that thick. And 90% of them I followed up with emails saying it was so nice to meet you and thank you and I hope we can work together someday. And it was, if I can ever do anything for you, not work-wise, but, just to talk or anything. And then the people that I really got to know well, I've already spoken to on the phone, and I will continue to contact them every once in a while and say, I haven't forgot you exist, and it's nice that we got to know each other, and what are you up to now? And you when you network with people and you make contacts with people, you keep those contacts. You don't just go back to them when you figure out you have something that they might need.
And you wind up speaking at Southern Oasis because that was through a connection
Yes.
from a previous conference.
John has watched me network at 4 or 5 different events. And what do you think, John?
So it's hard to hear because there's not sitting places, but normally whatever conference you're at, there's a lobby with seating room and there's restaurants and there's a bar over there. You never walk by Bob when he's not, first of all, smiling, and second of all, he's not meeting either formally or informally in front of people. And he does it in front of people so that everyone can see him networking properly, because he's modeling for the rest of us that we need to be out of our bubble and be out in public. It's being gregarious and friendly and helpful, and he's always talking to someone. And if you saw him out in the hallway here, he was always talking to someone.
Well, and I'm always happy to help and answer questions from people too, because there are too many people who are become successful in this business who don't think that they have to communicate with people, and I think that's wrong. And I think that you do communicate. You have to communicate with people. You have to talk to people and get people. I believe that, especially after seeing some of these at this film festival, I saw the college films, and I saw yours was good, and I saw some of the high school films. There was one high school film that just blew my mind. It was so good, and I want to encourage people to follow their dreams. I followed my dream, and I'm a success. And you just have to say, look, this is what I want to do. I can't tell you how many times I heard from people, you can't do that. From a whole bunch of people, you can't be an actor, you can't be a writer, you can't be a radio disc jockey, you can't do this. And I kept saying, why not? And I went out and did it, because you got to believe in yourself too. Doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy dose of imposter syndrome while you're doing it, because I do. But you have to believe in yourself and believe that you're on this this quest to do what you've always wanted to do. And like I said earlier, there's nothing I've ever wanted to do in this life besides make movies, and now I get to do it.
So before I'm going to ask, so I'm going to do what Emily always does to me, because I'll point at things, and there are listeners who can't see what I'm pointing at or when I shake my head. So Bob pointed to Danny. Danny, what's your last name?
Martinek.
And what was
Thank
your
you.
and what was your film?
My film is called The Rushing of the Sea.
Ah,
Right.
The Rushing of the Sea. And so I just wanted to point that out.
Would you like to know what I liked about it?
Yes, and I was also going to say that I also liked it as well. And but go ahead.
What I really liked about it was the fact that she put sand on the floor, that she melded a beach with an apartment when she had this girl going to the beach in her imagination. But the beach started in the apartment with her, and it was brilliantly done. And I thought, this was really, really smart filmmaking, and it engaged the viewer in a way that you never would have engaged in it if you had just gone back and forth. I thought it was just thinking and creative, and I love thinking and creative.
100%. I also thought it seemed very vibrant. Like, don't you agree? It was very vibrant, and if I can boil it down to one word, it was vibrant. So what I want to ask Bob next, I'm gonna go through Emily, because Emily is a self-professed introvert, and so I want Emily to talk about her first thing like this, and then ask Bob about his first thing that he ever went to like this.
So yeah, I am. So I grew up with an anxiety disorder and panic disorder, so it was borderline agoraphobic, and it took me a long time. What's that?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
You're doing
as a
really
kid,
well.
thank you. It took a long time, but I can't think of. I mean, the first like writing event would have been the Tennessee Writers Workshop, which I'm going to again in April. And I actually had, I had so much imposter syndrome, which I would love for you to talk about. Coming in as somebody who, you don't have anything published, and what do you have to, you feel like people are looking for other people who are successful that they can like leech off of, and you're like, well, I can't help you, but I'll read your stuff. But yeah, coming from a place of extreme introversion and anxiety, for me, the transition of being able to do this is doing little things at a time. I mean, for me, it was even like going to college, finding somebody to sit with at the cafeteria table, talking to the person next to me in class, and those little bitty things being able to gradually move me out of my bubble to where I can talk in front. I mean, I'm a teacher now, like I talk in front of people all the time, and it's just not a big deal anymore. But on that, one of the things that actually, you do it. You answer John Mayer's question, then I have another question.
My first time, I don't know where it was. I spoke at the in L.A. at a writers conference, L.A. Writers Conference, and it wasn't in L.A. It was in Orange County, but they said it was the L.A. Writers Conference, and it was the first time I had ever taught a class or done anything. It was fun. I came back from it and told my wife. I think I said this earlier. I told my wife, everybody's got a book, and she went, so write one. And I did. And that's where That's Not the Way It Works came from. And your question is?
So when you're coming in as, like I said, unpublished author who you feel like that imposter syndrome, like I've got nothing to add here, what would be your advice for someone like that?
I have 20 films produced. I have 2 published books. I'm a successful, known entity in the film industry as a screenwriter. And I have the worst case of imposter syndrome of anybody I know. I bet I beat you. If any of you guys don't know what imposter syndrome is, It's where you think you're fooling people and you really aren't what other people think you are. And you know that the other shoe's going to drop and they're all going to go, we knew you were a fake. And what it does is I think it keeps me on my toes. And I think it keeps me grounded in the fact that I don't believe that I'm as good as other people have said I am, and that I have to keep striving to be better. And I think I think imposter syndrome is healthy. I don't think you should try and fight it. I think you should use it to your advantage.
I love that.
And use it as a motivator to work harder so that people don't find out. Because I always worry that people are going to find out. So yeah, I've had it since forever, and I can go to watch a movie that I wrote or do something and think, okay, is it good enough, or what did I do? What did other people do that made it better? And it's just, it's health. I think it's healthy. I don't think you want to get rid of it, because getting rid of that leads to ego, and ego is a career killer.
I'll add something to that. Can I add something to that? Yeah. So I don't think that I have it, but I also don't have a big ego. I'm the same goofy guy in front of my students as I am in the car, as I am here with all y'all. And so if you're just authentic, like, I'm not trying to talk you out of it, because Bob channeling it to being something positive is the perfect answer, like Emily said. But I think the people that don't have it and are like, what is he talking about? Like, just be yourself, right? I mean, that sounds a cliche, but I'm literally the same when I wake up in the morning as I am right now in front of y'all. And when I teach, I don't even stand behind a podium. So this is like this weird obstacle, all this stuff, this podcast between me and you and me and you and me and you. And I'm like up there. I like when I go in the classroom, like I don't even stand in front of the classroom, because I'm just like I'm every man.
I've watched you work.
Yes. I think on that, because we try to be really transparent. Like, even when I got Bob's name wrong, I was tempted at first to be like, we have to stop recording. I have to start over because I can't let anybody see that I've made a mistake. But one thing with me becoming more confident, I actually had students do, this is a long story, but like in my first evaluation as a teacher, the student said, she's so not confident. And I realized that what I was doing was every time I made a mistake, I like kind of lost it a little bit, where I was just like, oh, like I don't know what to do because I made a mistake. And I've learned to go, I made a mistake. It's okay. And you actually think, like, I probably make even more mistakes because I'm not overthinking it as much. But I may appear more confident because I don't care as much either.
There's a great liberation to not caring. It's very liberating.
Yeah.
And there are things. I think that there's a fine line in deciding what to care about and what to not care about. But it's just like the 1-star review for extracurricular activity that sits on the wall in my office. That horrible review. But it makes me laugh because I don't care. Because I know that you can't ever do anything that's going to please everybody, and you can go crazy trying to please everybody. That's why I say, when you write a script and I ask you who's your audience, I always know when somebody doesn't know what they're doing when they say everybody. Because there isn't anything that everybody likes. Who's the audience you're trying to get? I'm trying to get the audience that likes slasher films. I'm trying to get the audience that likes thrillers. I'm trying to get the audience that likes black comedies. I'm trying to get two of those together. the fact is that you can't ever please everybody, and that internalizing that and making that real within you is a great liberator.
And as a people pleaser, Emily,
Mhm.
how do you respond to that? I have something that is
Yeah.
for everyone, and that's the call to action. And so, while Bob's going to give you our first celebrity call to action,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you a minor one now. Everyone in the audience, if you didn't get it, this little slip from I'm giving away subscriptions to WriterCon, the online version, for 1 month of WriterCon magazine, and get one from us after the thing and give it back to us, and then I'll make sure that you get yours. And then Bob is going to give you listeners and viewers a real life call to action.
WriterCon is in
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, the first weekend in September. It's always amazing. There's million-selling, New York Times million-selling #1 authors that come to this.
Wow.
And they do classes and they do all kinds of things. And it's well worth going. John and I will both be there. Hope you'll be there.
I hope so. Yeah.
And
you.
then the call to action, that's easy. I'll do for these guys. When you walk outside wherever you are for the first time, I want you to find an object, any object that you see, and write a log line about it.
Tell them what a log line is.
Ooh,
That's a premise for a movie.
I love that.
Because listen, I've come up with stuff that you can't believe. That's most of it I throw it away, but I've come up with some really weird stuff that's good that's actionable, that you can actually write something about.
And then we will talk about them on a future episode.
Yeah.
Danny, don't obsess about getting it perfect or getting it right. There's no wrong answers. And
Are we done?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just letting you know that Emily's going to tell you how you get these to us now that Bob's given you the call to action.
Yeah. So normally what we do is we record the episode and then a week later we publish it, and then the people respond to. And so if you're listening, this is how you'll do it: is you'll respond either in the YouTube comments or on our Facebook page. But you all in the audience aren't going to be able to do that because we haven't released the episode yet. So what you can do is email us, and get ready. Our email is writebettertogethernow@gmail.com.
There you go. And we love videos, but
We do, and audio recordings. Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. We don't want any stumbling blocks to your participation.
Yeah.
And so do whatever you want, but you get.
If you want to write it down and put your name down and give it to us like today, like we'll do. Like
we'll be your
take
best
it.
friends.
Yeah.
If you send a video, we'll be your best friends forever because we love videos.
And also tell us about your work, because we love to share that. That's part of the Write Better Together community, is that if you're interacting with us, we're going to interact with you, and we'll share whatever you're working on with people. So
I believe we have time for one more question to Bob, and then it's mystery bag. So
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mystery bag.
So I think this is less of a question, more of I would love to hear your thoughts on this, is that I think there's an attitude towards networking that we're all in competition with each other.
Oh, no. Listen, I'm going to explain it the best I can. Does everybody know what a zero-sum game is? A zero-sum game means that if one person succeeds, okay, then another person doesn't.
Right.
It all equals out. Writing is not a zero-sum game. It's an individual sport in which everyone can succeed. You succeed on your own merits. You succeed on your own hard work. You succeed on your own learning of the craft and owning your craft and writing and working to market yourself and all the things you have to do. But because someone is a success doesn't mean someone else has failed. So what you do is you encourage everybody to be successful. John's been with me, and he knows that whenever I go to one of these things, I want everyone to be a success. I want everyone to do well. I want everyone to come back to me and say, guess what, I did this or I did that. I've had people who have gotten optioned, and I have people who are now have movies that are in production who come back to me and say, thank you, because stuff you wrote or stuff you said, things that were in your book, all helped me do that, and that makes me feel really, really good, because all I want to do is have everybody be successful, because that's what everybody should want for everybody. The competition bug should not be in this industry, because it doesn't. It exists because people want it to exist, or they need it to exist because that's their personality. Those kinds of people don't last, by the way, but that's their personality. But the people who want to work with people and encourage people and want other people to succeed, those people are the ones that end up succeeding themselves too.
Awesome. So this is how the next 5 minutes are gonna go, because Jared Hollyfield is gonna come and shut us off in a second. And so we're gonna mystery bag, then we're gonna end the episode, and then we're gonna take questions from you after the episode's over and until we get thrown out. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
And Emily will want to cut this part out of the podcast,
So
but
do
no,
I.
you're not.
Well,
No, you're not going
Thank
to.
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
It's time for mystery bag right here.
Okay.
Now,
We've been talking about how to end this
rattlesnakes.
podcast.
one of us has.
And we have different ideas. This one has stuck around for some reason, even though
We both
they're,
hate it.
they're very.
So in this bag,
But I kind of love hating it though.
shout out if you think what's in this bag. No.
That would be cool.
Dice was a good guess. Marbles is a good guess.
Jelly beans.
Were you gonna say jelly beans for real? No, this guy. Change.
That would be nice.
That would.
All of these ideas are better.
Scrabble squares.
It is Scrabble squares. Did that come from one of y'all, or did that come
No,
from
it
you?
came from me.
It is Scrabble, but that's not the game. The game is there are 100 tiles in here, and 2 of them are blank. There are 98 other ones that have letters on them. You have to guess which one I'm going to pull out of here randomly.
What do I get if I guess?
However
Nothing.
many.
You get nothing.
No, you get the points that are on the tile. And the points
go
don't matter.
toward what?
Absolutely nothing.
I love games like this.
All right, here we go. Emily,
Okay, now I know why you hate it.
what is your guess,
Are we
Emily?
being too harsh?
I'm fine with your harshness.
Okay, my guess. I can't even remember what I've guessed in the past. L.
Okay.
And me?
Yeah, you.
I'm going to go an E for Emily.
All
right.
Our first celebrity guesser of the. Okay, here we go. What if,
Quit calling me a celebrity. Go ahead.
our national treasure? What if he gets this right? What if one of them get it right? Won't you guys go crazy right now?
No,
You'll just like
they
go through the
won't
room.
go crazy. They all think this is stupid. Let's go.
And the mystery letter is. You can't
What is
see
it?
from here.
I can't see it.
It's
Oh,
A.
man.
Oh.
That's better than getting an F, y'all.
Oh.
You got an A.
I'm so disappointed that I lost.
You lost 1 point. That's even worse than
Can we,
losing.
can we have you on more often?
Someday, Bob won't play again, but someday Emily will get this right.
When I get it right, what
Bob won't
happens?
play again? Does that mean you're not having me back?
No, I don't. I do not mean that. Thank you, buddy, for
Thank
everybody
you all
for
so
attending.
much. And thank you.
Oh, thank
we
you.
loved having you. I really
Oh,
appreciate it so much.
And
I love doing this with you.
And we get to say our thing, and it will really work because there's really
Yes.
people here.
All right,
Yes.
everybody, clap so we can get out of here.
All right.
And we couldn't have done it
We
without
couldn't
you.
have done it without you.
There you go. Thanks, everybody.